I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. These are obviously not my words, but the words of the great Martin Luther King Jr. However, this is also my dream for my fellow Americans. In the 20th century, our nation was embroiled in a massive civil rights war, black versus white, involving the liberties of our nation's citizens to vote, to be educated, and to be equal. Today, in the 21st century, the major civil rights issue our nation is warring over has to do with the legality of marriage for people of all races, all creeds, all nationalities, and all sexualities to have basic rights freely given to traditionally married couples. I'm not here today to convince you whether or not homosexuality is right or wrong. I'm here today to convince you that the intolerance present in our society today is disgraceful, and to persuade you that no matter what your personal beliefs are on the issue of homosexuality, every man and every woman should have the right to be legally joined with their chosen partner and to enjoy the legal rights that come with marriage. My first objective today is to reveal the disgraceful intolerance that our current society has regarding lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgendered people. The leaders of this group are primarily Christian activists who cite their interpretation of the Bible as the reason behind their intolerance. The American Society for the Defense of Tradition, Family, and Property is a Catholic organization who believe that calling something marriage does not make it marriage. Marriage has always been a covenant between a man and a woman, which by its nature ordered toward the procreation and education of children and the unity and well-being of the spouses. They go on to say, the promoters of same-sex marriage propose something entirely different. They propose the union between two men or two women. This denies the self-evident biological, physiological, and psychological differences between the men and women which find their complementarity in marriage. It also denies the specific primary purpose of marriage, which is the perpetuation of the human race and the raising of children. In their view, homosexual couples cannot effectively raise children because either one or both of the parents would not be biologically related to the child. However, if this is their argument, then adoption should also be discouraged or even outlawed, since a child should only be raised by their biological parents. Their belief that homosexuals should not be allowed to marry because they cannot genetically reproduce is also hurtful to heterosexual people who are not physically capable of bearing children. In the eyes of this organization, women such as myself, who are no longer able to carry and deliver a child, are not worthy of being in a marriage relationship, since no children can come of the union. Glenn Stanton, of Focus on the Family, rejects the thought of homosexuality as being a natural biological occurrence, and instead insists that it is simply a lifestyle choice. He writes, sure, same-sex sex has existed since the most ancient of times, but it was simply understood as an act, something someone did to another person. And in nearly all cultures throughout time, it was taboo to varying degrees. It was there in ancient Greek culture, but solely man on boy or slave. Between men of equal status was understood as shameful. Romantic, emotionally based same-sex relationships were unheard of. He continues saying, only a few decades ago, in certain developed Western nations did it become an identity, something someone was. And this was only after the American Psychiatric Association stopped classifying same-sex attraction as a mental disorder in 1973. Don't think for a moment that this was done as a result of careful scientific consideration by the association. Instead, they simply folded to stunningly rambunctious and consistent protests by homosexual activists. While Mr. Stanton is fully entitled to his own personal beliefs regarding homosexuality, his blatant disregard for the truth behind the American Psychiatric Association's decision to stop qualifying homosexuality as a mental disorder is severely troubling. The following is a quote directly from the APA's website. Research has found no inherent association between any of these sexual orientations in psychopathology. Both heterosexual behavior and homosexual behavior are normal aspects of human sexuality. Both have been documented in many different cultures and historical eras. Despite the persistence of stereotypes that portray lesbian, gay, and bisexual people as disturbed, several decades of research and clinical experience have led all mainstream medical and mental health organizations in this country to conclude that these orientations represent normal forms of human experience. Lesbian, gay, bisexual relationships are normal forms of human bonding. Therefore, these mainstream organizations long ago abandoned classifications of homosexuality as a disorder. Now that we have reviewed the intolerance of our nation regarding homosexuality, let's move on to explain why gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender couples should be allowed to legally be married. The main concern in the fight for equality is that legalizing homosexual marriage will somehow destroy heterosexual marriage. However, there is no evidence supporting this fact beyond religious beliefs and opinion. Furthermore, our government has no business making laws based on a religion. The separation of church and state was seen as a necessary step in developing our nation centuries ago. And while the church may choose not to marry homosexual couples or even allow them membership in their religious groups, the government cannot determine a citizen's basic rights based on religious principles. Again, this debate is not over the moral right or wrong of homosexuality, but instead, this debate centers on what is right for our country, which was founded on these words from our Declaration of Dependence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and that they are endowed with our Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Legalizing gay marriage would allow homosexual couples the same benefits as heterosexual couples when it comes to issues such as health insurance, tax benefits, legal rights to community property, etc. None of these rights in any way infringe on heterosexual marriage and the benefits thereof, and therefore the opposition is solely based on prejudice. Martin Luther King Jr. said in his speech, Remaining Awake Through a Great Revolution, that an individual has not started living until he can rise above the narrow confines of his individualistic concerns to the broader concerns of all humanity. He also said, the first question which the priest and the Levite asked was, if I stop to help this man, what will happen to me? But the Good Samaritan reversed this question. If I do not stop to help this man, what will happen to him? And I challenge you to ask yourself, how exactly is the legalization of homosexual marriage going to negatively affect you? Not your religious beliefs, your American rights and liberties. And on the other hand, how does your intolerance of your fellow Americans affect them? Again, my friends, this debate is not about the moral right and wrong of homosexuality. It's merely about the right of all American citizens to enjoy equal benefits no matter who they love. I'd like to end with one more quote from Martin Luther King Jr. Human progress is neither automatic nor inevitable. Every step toward the goal of justice requires sacrifice, suffering, and struggle, the tireless exertions and passionate concern of dedicated individuals. If you are one of the many feeling the negative effects of our generation's intolerance against this society, I encourage you to press on. Never lose faith and never lose hope. Our society is ever changing and ever evolving. And while this debate may not be solved anytime soon, or even in our lifetime, I myself will dedicate my life to accepting all of my fellow Americans from all races, all religions, all nationalities, and all sexualities, and to seeking equal rights for all. And I hope you all will join me in this endeavor.
Hell yeah!